Powered by 4th generation Intel Core i7 processor and NVIDIA GTX 770M graphics card, this is a full desktop performance machine, but in a sleek notebook form factor. I'm Jens Garcia from Tech4Geeks with a full review of the ASUS Republic of Gamers G750 notebook. Now, when it comes to design, the G750 is one of the best looking gaming notebooks in the market right now. I guess we should call this the Lamborghini of all the laptops, right? The matte finish really complements the overall design of it. Now, it has a plastic shell and a metal on where the keyboard is laid out. Now, the problem with that is that it's fingerprint magnet. Especially if you have sweaty hands, then the smudges are just going to be really visible. Now, with all the components in this notebook, don't expect this to be lightweight. The laptop weighs in at 4.5 kilograms, which is, I guess, is something you wouldn't want to carry around all the time. Looking around the laptop, you have the AC jack, VGA port, Ethernet port, HDMI port, Thunderbolt connectivity for faster transfer speed, two USB 3.0s, headphone jack, and microphone jack. On the other side, you have the Kensington lock, another two USB 3.0s, Blu-ray drive, and memory card slot. Now, there are two vents as well on the back, which are quiet and doesn't get really hot. Now, the HD camera is located above the display, which records HD videos. Now, looking on the bottom, you have the access to the hard drives and RAM. Now, as you can see, the speaker is placed on the corner, and yes, there's only one speaker. Now, for a laptop like this, I guess you would expect it to have a full HD display at least. And yes, the G750 features a full HD display now, although hopefully the next model will have a much higher display to really take advantage of the high processing in this machine. Now, it is matte display, which is a plus, as I find it to have a better viewing angle, especially when you're gaming. You don't really get that glare as opposed to a glossy display, I guess. Now, the viewing angle on this is superb. Everything was visible even in direct sunlight. Now, the colors are vivid, especially if you have some colorful photos. The brightness was great as well. It was bright, and that really helps as well when you're outdoors. Now, as for the refresh rate, it is 120 Hz, so that's gonna give you really smooth when it comes to gaming. Now, there's another 120 Hz model as well, but that has a glossy display, and to be honest, I prefer this one, as I've said, because it'll give you a better viewing angle. The chiclet keyboard doesn't produce a lot of noise, which is what I like. Now, although I'm not a really big fan of this keyboard, especially when it comes to gaming, I find the spacing to be too narrowed for my liking, and sometimes I end up pressing the wrong keys. But apart from that, I do love the fact that it is backlit as well, so that's a plus, especially if you're using it in low light. Then it really helps, and just the fact that you'll be able to see the keys. There's also a large trackpad, and it feels really great. And the fact that it's large, you'll have more space. Now, its sensitivity is just right for my liking. Below that are the left and right clickable buttons. They're really easy to press without any need of pressure. This features the latest Core i7 processor, also known as Haswell if you didn't know. It has GTX 770M, 16GB of RAM with 256GB of SSD storage and 1TB of hard disk drive. Now, first of all, if you haven't used SSD, then you are missing out a lot, because not only it will dramatically speed up your boot time of your computer, but overall it will increase the transfer speed of your files by at least 30%, but that all depends to the SSD that you have. But you know what, we'll do a quick boot up test, and right now the system is turned off, so now let's turn it on, and yeah, I guess that explains it. Now, I've also done a test using Crystal Disk Mark, and on the left you have the SSD read and write speed, and then HDD on the right, and obviously the higher the better, and I guess the results explains it. Now, as for transferring an actual files on the SSD, it was around 100 megabytes per second transfer speed based on a 10 gigabytes worth of files. And on a HDD, I was getting around 47 to 55 megabytes per second transferring the same files as the SSD. So that was about twice as fast, and you can definitely get a faster speed depending on the SSD that you have. But for this review, we're just using the stock SSD that comes with the laptop. This is powered by the latest Core i7 processor, and the model is 4700HQ, running at 2.4 GHz, but obviously through Intel's technology, it can be boosted to 3.4 GHz with their turbo technology. Now, basically that means that, for example, you're doing video editing, then that technology will start kicking in and push the speed to 3.4 GHz. Now, this is a quad-core processor with 8 threads in total, and that is something that you would need when you do a lot of video editings, and at the same time you're doing other tasks as well, like for example opening up a virtual machine, like in my case. Now, the G750 handles it fairly well, and I guess with the addition of 16 gigabytes of RAM, it really helps the performance to run smoother. Based from Cinebench, the frames for the GPU was 58.89 frames per second, and as for the points, it was 6.69, and that's for the CPU. Now, there's not much really difference actually compared to the Ivy Bridge Core i7, and the screenshot, by the way, is from my personal laptop that is running the Ivy Bridge, so the last year's model. And by the way, my apologies if I didn't have a screenshot of the Cinebench result from the G750, because I thought I took a screenshot of it, but apparently I didn't. And the bad thing is I've already returned the laptop back to ASUS, so again, my apologies. Now, as I've mentioned, this is sporting the NVIDIA GTX 770M graphics card, and you can actually get the GTX 780M model as well, but that will obviously cost you more. So this model here has a 3 gigabytes of DDR5 GPU, which is more than enough to run 1080p games. Now, using PC Mark 7 to benchmark the system performance, the score is more than 6,000, which is really high, and just by looking at the Windows 8 Experience Index, everything is above 7, and it really makes sense when you start playing high-end games. Take a look at Battlefield 3, for example, using the render.drawfps1 command for the GPU. Now, I was getting around 85 to 95 and sometimes down to 70 frames per second with this, and with everything set to maximum settings. Now, I do believe that that's about the maximum frames per second you can get, although I might be wrong, so just correct me if I am wrong. Now, the game was smooth with no lag whatsoever. Now, I did play Burnout Paradise as well, which was running at the highest settings. The graphics looked great, it's crisp, and everything was just detailed, and the amount of contrast saturation in the gameplay overall was well balanced. Same with the Crysis 3, it was all detailed as well, and you can play it at the high setting as well, though I had experienced getting 18, 25 to 30 frames per second, and it wasn't as consistent, so I guess that is because of the fact that this is a mobile GPU, so I thought I'd just mention that. The question you're probably asking are whether the laptop gets really hot when you're playing games or if it's loud. Now, my answer is no. Run all your games at the high settings and the laptop doesn't get hot at all. So overall, the laptop handles the temperature fairly well. The speaker is decent for my liking. If you use headphones, however, it will give you a better experience thanks to the amplified sound card in this machine. The quality of the sound that's coming out, now if you match it with the really great headphones as well, it just makes a huge difference. Now, connectivity wise, this has Bluetooth 4.0, Wi-Fi ABG, and AAC, but due to drivers problems with the hardware and it's not really as compatible with Windows 8 yet, the Wi-Fi antenna was having trouble picking up the 5 GHz band. Now, for the battery life, ASUS didn't really mention anything about how long it will last in terms of battery life, but you can easily get around 4 hours with the G750. Now, the power saving mode works very well as well to increase the battery life of this laptop. Plus, Haswell has better battery consumption anyway. But if you're going to be playing games, then I really suggest that you plug the charger in. Now, if you're looking to buy this laptop and asking yourself if it's worth paying 2,999 Australian dollars, then for sure, this is something that would last you for years, to be honest. And as long as you look after it, then it will be fine. Now, it is designed very well, the build is great, and most of all, solid performance overall, whether if it's for gaming or just any tasks really. Alright, so I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you have any questions, just let me know in the comment section below this video. As always, I'm Jens Garcia from Tech for Geeks, and I'll see you all in the next one.